Okay, so today I want to do a very different video. And there's a lot of people that saw the title of this video and thought, oh, I know what this is about. And I bet very few people are going to get it right as far as what made me so furious after watching this movie. And if you're unfamiliar, Concussion is all about Dr. Bennet Omalu, who looked into the death of Mike Weber. He was an NFL player, and he went so far as to really spend his own money and figure out what was going on. And obviously from the title, it's about concussions, right? And so I don't think I'm doing any spoilers there. But the reason that I'm so furious about this movie has nothing to do with any, being a devout NFL fan or, being angry or happy on either side of that. In fact, the movie was done very well, and if you haven't seen it, I highly recommend it. It's eye-opening. It's just, the whole thing was great. Will Smith did a great job and all of that. Why am I mad? Why am I furious? Why did this? I haven't been this mad in a long, long time. And it basically, there's two reasons. Number one, I actually had a concussion 18 years ago. And I've talked about having fibromyalgia on this channel. I don't really talk about it a whole lot other than to explain. That's why I do so few videos, and they're kind of simple and things like that. And it affects me, okay? But what I did not see, they talked about chronic traumatic encephalopathy, okay? And I'm like, well, I might have that, because I was knocked out for over 40 minutes, okay? I fell out of my semi, and I was out. And it knocked me out hard. And I don't even know what part of my head got hit, okay? So it was a serious thing. And I always suspected that it might have had something to do with the fact that I have fibromyalgia. But, I was looking into everything. What could be causing this? Was it chemicals? Was it this? Was it that? So anyway, after seeing this movie, I went to my doctor and I said, hey, I have a hard time walking. My legs just give out from underneath me. And it's intermittent. I never know when it's going to happen. I'm afraid that might be something as a result of concussion, because I found that concussion issues can come back later in life. You can have a concussion and then 10, 20 years later start having issues. That wasn't my case. I started having issues about a year later. But still, I was, hey, maybe we should look into this. So I go to a neurologist, and the neurologist says, well, I want to get an MRI of your neck. I'm like, well, what about my head? He's like, nah, it's probably fine. Frustrating, but nonetheless. And so I have some back and forth with him, and he goes, by the way, I don't treat post-concussion syndrome. Your primary care does. I'm like, what? Post-concussion syndrome? What is that? Okay. Now, turns out I have post-concussion syndrome. Had it for 18 years now. And this is the first time in my life that I've heard that term. So essentially, for the last 17 years of my life, when it really started affecting me, I've been fighting a ghost. In fact, there's a doctor, he's a, what do you call it? He is a professor. And I'll hit the link to his book down below. And he said, The Ghost in My Brain is the title of the book. And I feel like I've been fighting the same thing. I've been fighting fibromyalgia, but fibromyalgia is just a symptom. It's not the cause. It's not the underlying root cause of everything that's wrong. And so for me, I was just furious, because every single doctor, every single medical professional, every single specialist I have been to, I have mentioned the head injury. I said, yeah, I had a major concussion. It was a moderate concussion. I was out for over 40 minutes, so it puts it from mild to moderate. But it was a serious event to me. And I always explain that to everybody. Yeah, I had this, and then a year later I had all these other problems. And, I wasn't able to drive my own car because it was so enclosed that it made me nauseous. That was going on for 7 months. That's not normal. Normally, if you recover from a concussion, it's supposed to be you recover after about a month or so, okay? For 7 months, I couldn't drive my car. And I told people this, I told all the doctors this, and when I started having the fibromyalgia type symptoms, I made sure to tell everybody about the fall. And there's no one that didn't know about this. But this was the first time in 18 years that I heard the term post-concussion syndrome. And here's the other thing. And by the way, if you're a doctor or a medical professional of any sort, I know that there are some doctors who watch this channel. I appreciate you watching. And please look into this more. And that Dr. Elliott, I think his name is, he said that post-concussion syndrome is an epidemic. And I agree, 100%. Because I talked to a lot of people about it, and they're like, oh, you know what? I had a concussion 3 years ago, and when I start feeling bad, I start bumping against the walls too. Oh, well, you should get a look at it. Problem is, a lot of doctors say, oh no, post-concussion syndrome usually clears up within a year. No, it can last a lifetime. It can last to the day you die. And so it's one of those things, it's just so maddening and it's infuriating, and I cannot believe that I have gone the better part of 2 decades not knowing what's wrong with me. And to the point of the movie, Concussion, they didn't mention post-concussion syndrome in there at all. And that's like, that would have been helpful, because I went another 4 months before I heard the term. After I watched the movie and started looking into it, and it was just shocking to me that this is such an unknown condition. And then, so I'm asking for help from my doctor, and my doctor says, oh, well, post-concussion syndrome usually clears up within a year. You probably don't have it. And I'm like, okay, you're super uneducated about it. You know, I'm mad. I am mad. Let's be real. I'm furious that he didn't look into it any further than the Wikipedia page or whatever he found that said post-concussion syndrome usually clears up within a year. There's a percentage of people it lasts a lifetime. And the other thing that's very interesting about the whole thing is that the treatments for it are usually revolved around vision and balance, okay? What happens is your eyes are trying to process stuff, and it's processing a lot more than it should over normal stuff, just reading or just driving or things like that. It wears you out. It steals all your energy. And so you go into this state of just complete shutdown. And what happens with me is essentially I feel like I've been knocked out all over again. I feel like I have a concussion all over again. That woozy feeling that I can't understand English at times. You know, people will say something to me and it just doesn't click. It doesn't make sense. I can't make sense out of it. Simple things. And so, there's just so many people, you know, people with fibromyalgia, chronic fatigue syndrome, all kinds of issues that might actually just have post-concussion syndrome and be able to get treatment on it. And here's another fun fact, okay? No insurance covers the as far as I've been able to tell, covers the treatment that really helps for it, which is vision therapy and things like that. And I'm still learning about all this stuff. All this stuff is brand new to me. And so this is why I haven't produced a lot of videos lately. I have been overwhelmed by this. It has shell-shocked me. I mean, I've been just furious about this. This whole thing has just made me so mad and in a state where I can't really even focus on my videos and make videos because I'm so 18 years not knowing what's wrong. That's unacceptable. It's unacceptable. It's incredible to me. And you know, I don't know. I'm sorry for rambling. I'm sorry about going on about this, but it has been so frustrating, and I would be a jerk if I didn't share this with my viewers, because I know that somewhere out there, there's a viewer that doesn't know what's wrong with them, and they're suffering from post-concussion syndrome. Because I'll tell you, the doctor I told you about that had that, you know, post-concussion syndrome, he had it for 8 years. He got rear-ended and got a slight tap on the back of his head, okay? It wasn't a lot of damage, okay? But that was enough for him to go into a post-concussive state for 8 years. And this is a professor. So this is someone that, you know, doctors tend to take more seriously than just some yahoo like me, right? And so he had a better shot at getting taken seriously, and it still took him 8 years to get treatment for it, okay? So the odds for the normal person that has post-concussion syndrome, the odds stink, because chances are your doctor's gonna say, oh, you got hit in the head and then you had all these problems. Nah, concussion doesn't last that long. That's the boilerplate answer. That's the standard answer. That's what most doctors are taught. And there are some that get it, and bravo, thank you. But there are some that just don't. And so, anyway, I just had to share this, and I will do a longer video about this, but I just wanted to give my viewers an update on what's going on with me, why my channel's been quiet lately. On top of all this, I had a death in the family, so it's just been a stressful month or so of things. And the bright side is, I have found a place that will be able to help me and maybe help me get a little bit better and help me deal with things, and hopefully my content can improve and things like that. So there's some bright sides to this. It's not all doom and gloom, but it's just the awareness of it. There's no awareness, you know, there just isn't. I've asked a lot of doctors because I've been, you know, I've been in contact with a lot of medical professionals lately, and no, everyone's like, no, post-concussion syndrome doesn't last very long. And by the way, if you're concerned about this or interested in this, there is a Facebook group all about post-concussion support. I'll put that down in the links below as well. Very helpful resource. I feel like I found a bunch of people that are going through the exact same thing, and it's like, okay, I'm not crazy anymore. So anyway, sorry about this. I know this may not be a super interesting video to you personally, but you know, keep an eye out. If you know someone that's got problems, and you know, hey, say, hey, did you ever like have a concussion? And if so, hey, look into it. You might save them a lot of anguish and a lot of unnecessary suffering. And you know, to that point, I may never get any better than I am now. I may be like this the rest of my life. And I know that. I've expected that just with the fibromyalgia diagnosis. There's no cure for that, okay? So I may not get any better ever. And that's fine. That doesn't really change the trajectory of my life. What does change is knowing what it is. What does change is knowing that, hey, when I have this problem, I know that I can put an ice pack on my head and it helps. That would have been helpful 17 years ago. Really helpful. You know, because your brain's overheating. Your brain is using too much power trying to process basic stuff, and it gets overwhelmed, and it just shuts you down, and it just takes all the energy in you. And I feel like a heart patient. I feel like my heart just isn't pumping enough blood, and I'm just out of it. You know, that's what happens. And so it's frustrating. But anyway, I'm gonna end this video. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate your support. I'm not looking for a bunch of pity or anything like that. I'm looking to raise awareness about this situation, about post-concussion syndrome, because I know I'm not the only one that deals with this stuff. I have a pretty severe case of it, but there are people that just have migraines, just migraine patients alone. They should be evaluated for hitting their heads. You can bump your head in the cabinet and have post-concussion syndrome. You can be completely asymptomatic for concussion and have post-concussion syndrome. It's crazy. So anyway, once again, thanks so much for watching. Thanks for all your support. This whole issue is kind of why I started a YouTube channel, so that when I can work, I work. I do my stuff. I just can't do a bunch of it. So I do videos kind of few and far between, but it allows me to at least do something. So anyway, thanks so much for watching. I'm not sure why my camera is just not focusing. Sorry about that. Anyway, sorry guys, I'm a little off right now, but I'm gonna work on it. So again, thanks so much for watching, and please subscribe. Ooh. 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 I love you, baby. Poor guy. I know. Yeah. I know. Good boy. He's a good boy.